couple of trades to happen today. How's it going, everybody? My name is Andrew. I'm one of the analysts over at Angle. Braxton and I have been kind of on call for this trade deadline week, waiting for some trades to go down so he and I can hop on. Braxton, we've been twiddling our thumbs waiting. We finally got something, buddy.
Yes, albeit not the blockbusters we were hoping for, but definitely at least something to talk about. So,
Right, right. All right, so let's go over the first one. So in the first trade, the Utah Jazz sent Simone Fontecchio to the Pistons. He's going to join his countryman Danilo Gallinari over there. The Jazz received Kevin Knox, a 2024 second-round pick, which is going to be a pretty high pick, as well as the draft rights to Gabriel Presidia. So the main thing that we're looking at here, so Kevin Knox was playing 18 minutes a night for Detroit. Fontecchio was playing 23 minutes a night for Utah. Definitely thinking that this is an upgrade for Detroit. Knox is kind of just bounced around the league a bunch. And I personally really do like Fontecchio. He's always played well for Italy when he gets a lot of usage. And then I've liked, his development his second year in the league with the Jazz. And it seems like his archetype of player is exactly what Detroit keeps looking for. They keep wanting, long shooters regardless of age. They don't necessarily have, a time window they're cramming everyone into. But also at the same time, Fontecchio is not too old. So, Brax, what is your initial thoughts with that move?
yeah, I don't think this really hurts or helps anybody still in Detroit. I think Fontecchio is really going to slide into Knox's pretty much exact role. He started a little bit earlier in the season and then kind of was out of the rotation for a little bit, and then recently has reappeared in the starting lineup. If you're a Fontecchio owner in like a deeper league or a dynasty league, I would feel really good. This feels way better than him getting traded to like Boston or something, to where
Yeah.
his touches are going to go down and his minutes are going to go down just like as a bench piece. I mean, this is once again demonstrating just how badly Detroit is trying to win games right now. Feels like Troy Reaver is making moves with his jaw on the line. Not that he's doing anything crazy, right? But Detroit is so determined to be competitive. And I've said this multiple times. This is not a tanking team. This is just a really, really, really bad team.
Yeah.
So Fontecchio is gonna play, and I wouldn't worry about him at all if you're an owner. Um, as far as like who can step up in Utah, I don't think Kevin Knox is going to play. Although, we've talked about in the past how this team is just straight up just like guards and bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I know you like uh, Taylor Hendricks a little bit. I don't know if this. I'm so undecided as to whether or not this actually opens up minutes for him. It feels like they might be moving Laurie or opening minutes to move Laurie back down to the three, and maybe feeding Kessler some minutes. I know in the event of I've said previously, like if Fontecchio got traded, I really like Sensible, but it's like, is he ready? I just,
Right. I
they're in that
agree.
playoffs play-in spot right now. So, they're going full youth movement. I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe it's just like,
It's like a question of if they're going to like make the adjustment from the front court. So, maybe moving Laurie to the three, Collins to the four, Kessler to the five. Because if that happens, then it obviously opens more space for somebody like Hendricks. But if they're
hmm,
basically just filling that, keeping Laurie at the four and filling the three spot with, Agbaji or Horton Tucker or something like that, then that doesn't necessarily create a clearer pathway for Hendricks just yet. I mean, it might for Sensabaugh, but it's a question of seeing which half of the team rotates, from this trade, if it's the front court or the back court. So it's a little kind of unclear of what they'll do there in Utah. But yeah, I mean, Fontecchio was playing 23 minutes a night for Utah. I think that might go up slightly in Detroit. He's going to be better than a lot of options that they've had playing there, and they want the offense that he's capable of producing. So it might go to 25 or above. So if you are currently like a dynasty deep league owner of Fontecchio, I consider it maybe even a small win there. And then we're going to keep a very close eye on Utah to see if it does open up time for Hendricks and Sensabaugh, because obviously that would be the most, intriguing options here. I mean, we've seen
hmm.
Horton Tucker and Agbaji with a bunch of minutes. They're kind of spotty fantasy producers, but if somebody like Hendricks starts to get some more minutes, then that would definitely be of major interest. So that's the first one there. Pretty low scale move, but we have another move here. This one does involve a contender. So the Memphis Grizzlies sent Xavier Tillman to the Celtics. The Grizzlies got a couple of second round picks, and I know that they got Lamar Stevens in that deal as well too. So Tillman was playing 20 minutes a night for the Grizzlies. He's now moving to one of the best teams in the league on the Boston Celtics. Brax, what's your initial reaction of Tillman heading to Boston?
Well, I want to talk about the Grizzlies rotation a little bit here for a
Let's do
second.
it.
Santi hasn't really been playing much center. Jaren Jackson is kind of banged up. Brandon Clark is due back after the All-Star break, and this move kind of indicates to me that they're really, in as much as he can handle, give him a ton of minutes. Coming off this Achilles injury.
I mean, Clark's a good fantasy player.
Yeah, I mean, relatively low upside, right? But he's a rock solid contributor. He's not going to hurt you anywhere. He's not going to shoot any threes, right? But he's we've seen him rank highly in the past just because of how 9-cat friendly his game is. Something I think may be happening here, and I know they got Lamar Stevens back in the deal. I think it's possible they waive him and maybe elevate one of those two-way guys. They have 3 guys on 10-day hardship contracts right now just because they have something like 12 guys injured. Matthew Hurt, Trey Jameson, and Tosan Owuma. And I think those 3 guys are kind of fighting for a two-way spot right now. I think it's possible that Gilliard or Scottie Pippen gets, probably Gilliard, if they like him enough, gets elevated to a full roster spot, and one of those 3 gets in the two-way spot. That's if they waive Lamar Stevens. Just to touch on Tillman moving forward, this feels not great for his value. I mean, redraft, anybody who owns him in a redraft, he's probably a drop now. Dynasty, the outlook of the remaining of this season is not great outside of like a KP injury or something like that.
Right.
He is an unrestricted free agent next year. So it's possible he signs somewhere with maybe a little bit better outlook, but this kind of kills the dream of Tillman as a starter. I don't think any team is signing him to be their starter. And as far as the biggest losers in Boston, Luke Cornett to me is probably just going to be fully out of the rotation now. Andrew, I think you mentioned O'Shea Brissett probably as well is going to be done. It probably does allow them to be a little more cautious with Porzingis and Horford, but not really any winners here in Boston. I don't think there's a glaring pickup in Memphis either, just because how banged up they are. Maybe Santi, but I don't think he's been affected very much by Tillman.
Right. And then one thing we talked about too, we don't think, in regards to Boston, we don't think this move has much of an impact to guys like Peyton Pritchard or Sam Hauser. Not really the same position here. So it's more so the other bigs like Brissett and Cornette there too. So one thing we were talking about is we feel like with this trade deadline, it seems like a lot of the major moves happened early. Like with the Raptors selling house and everything. And then one thing that I was mentioned in our in one of our chats yesterday was how we might just see a lot of contenders improving like their 9th or 10th spot, which is kind of what Boston did here. So minimal upgrade to improve front court depth for Boston, help add some protection for Porzingis and Horford, and then continue. And then for the Grizzlies, just allows them to recoup some assets and continue their straight downward trajectory, nosedive tank into trying to get Cody Williams at the top of the draft. So, so that's what's going on over there in Memphis. So just wanted to get a quick update onto you guys for the trades that have gone down so far today. Braxton and I are going to be waiting for any other trades to go down. We'll hop on and get another video done for you. But hopefully that's what we've got, is a couple of upgrades for a couple of teams, moving around some 2nd round picks. So Fontecchio with a new role in Detroit. Tillman probably going into a reduced depth role over in Boston. So thank you guys for tuning in today, and we'll probably be back sometime this week with another trade deadline update for you. Thank you for tuning in.